Hey guys, and welcome to episode 2 of the Batcast, the weekly podcast dealing with all things Batman and Gotham City related. Um, this is the episode for the week between the 15th and the 22nd of May 2024. Last week's episode was a little awkward because this was my first time doing this and it ran a little long. Just a second, I just realized that my dog is still here. Let me get her out. Okay, there we go. Anyway, um, yeah, last week's episode ran a little long and all that, and had lots of talking points. This week is far less eventful, which I will admit is a little bit of a blessing in disguise for me, since it was really hard to catch up on all the comics that were coming out this week. In fact, I wasn't even able to read the latest issue of two of them. So yeah, it's a comics heavy week, but there's not too much else going on outside of a pretty decently important news item, which will be the headline for this week, which is the launch trailer for Multiversus, which of course features Batman, Harley Quinn, and now the Joker. So that's arguably the biggest news of the week, and there's some more stuff to talk about, so we'll get to that. So I've got everything set up. I'm ready. Let's get started. So, first things first, there is no movie news this week. Really, nothing. Not a single piece of information from what I could gather. I don't know if maybe there's a Blu-ray release I'm missing out on, or some kind of announcement I may have not seen. Maybe a podcast thing that's going on. But from what I've seen, there isn't anything that's going on in that regard. So that's something we're going to have to skip for a change. And we're going to have to start off with TV news. And specifically, we're starting off with an interesting announcement, by which I mean it's an announcement about Batman not being in something. So I guess that's the thing, I suppose. And it's that My Adventures of Superman Season 2, the information I'm getting here is from it's from comicbook.com. My Adventures of Superman Season 2 creative team have just pretty much shot down the idea of Batman joining the show at all now. I don't know if any of you have actually seen My Adventures of Superman Season 2, but, sorry, My Adventures of Superman in general, but I really liked it. I thought it was a really fun anime-esque take on Superman and Lois and Jimmy and all that stuff. I really liked watching it. I thought it was really fun and cute. And I was really excited for Season 2, and I was really looking forward to seeing this Superman interactive Batman, but unfortunately, while there has been Gotham name drops and we even saw a very different take on Vicky Vale, and if you count them, I guess, Deathstroke and Amanda Waller are Batman characters in this, there will be pretty much no Batman. When asked about whether or not it would be possible to see Batman appear in My Adventures of Superman, co-executive producer Jake Wyatt summed up the potential as such. That's one for prayer. You take that to your gods. You don't have any control over that. If you'd like to see that happen, you need to supplicate a higher power. It would be great if you can make that happen for us. Now, I'm not 100% sure what that means. It's possible this is DC's usual messing around in terms of you can't have this character in this thing because we're doing something with him or whatever, which I would never understand because the more the merrier, surely, right? I mean, currently, Multiverse is everything everyone's talking about. I don't see why it would be a problem to have Batman appear in the Superman show. And at first I heard the quote, and I didn't hear the whole thing. I thought, is that they don't want to use him? But as it turns out, they wouldn't actually like to use him potentially, but they have no control over it. Like, again, I don't understand why DC aren't okay with this. Is this because of Cape Crusader? I will never understand the embargo the DC places on characters. It's as if they can only be in one major show and maybe a small camera here and there. But that's it. I don't get it. But that's what they've chosen to do. He's not going to be in My Adventures of Superman Season 2 unless something crazy happens. So, yeah, there's news, I guess, technically the news of him not being in anything, but there you go. I'm not sure if to cover it for this podcast. This is, of course, all Gotham City, not just Batman. So, for example, if Dick Grayson was in My Adventures of Superman, I'll absolutely cover it. I'm not sure about Amanda Waller and I guess Deathstroke and Vicky Vale. They're obviously Vicky Vale's obviously a Batman character. Amanda Waller is questionably sort of a Gotham City character. Not really, but I guess you could technically counter. Deathstroke is more complicated, but he is Dick Grayson by chances, so they do cover Dick Grayson as well. I'm not sure. I think I'd have to ask. If anybody has any opinions on that, like, leave that in the comments. I'd be very happy to see if you think I should cover it. It would feel a bit weird to cover a Superman show here, simply because maybe Deathstroke counts. So I guess leave comments and I'll see what you guys think. I'm leaning towards not covering it though, unless there's something very Batman heavy in one of the episodes. But yeah, that's the news on that. A little disappointing, but that's just how it is. On less disappointing news, so it's not really news as much as it's just fun to see, I guess. We have another character trailer from the Suicide Squad Isekai. This time, last time it was Harley Quinn, and this time it's Joker, which isn't really surprising. And I'm not so sure how much he's even going to feature anyway, but here you go, there is a Joker character trailer. I will put it on. I found this on Trailer Mania X, not on YouTube. I'm not sure exactly what their source is, or if they're even the original source. But I'm crediting them just in case. And I will put on the trailer. It is 28 seconds, so I can put on the whole thing. I'll put it on, and I guess, well, let's see what it's like.
新しい世界いい言葉だハーレイイエーイ俺たちで変えてやるのさこの紙くずや銃やあらゆる力で世界ごといたぞ撃て撃て撃て
さすがプリンちゃん
なあ頼みがあるんだ俺を愛しているなら俺のために死んでくれるか
So that's the trailer. Quite a lot of focus on Joker and Harley's relationship, as expected. Seems like we're getting quite the psychedelic flashback sequence explaining the origin of their relationship. That looks like it's going to be a pretty good scene. I don't think we really saw too much from it though, outside of Joker just, doing Joker stuff, I guess, and mostly in his relationship with Harley, which is good. I thought I don't like Joker, and I'm not the biggest proponent of the Joker oversaturation that many people are annoyed about, but I don't think he needs to feature too much in a Suicide Squad anime. It's already obvious Harley's going to be the main character and stealing most of the focus. I would rather Joker didn't steal any focus from Deadshot or King Shark, or I think Boomerang was there, or Katana, or a character like that. So, decent trailer, nice to see. I want, whatever you think about it, do please share your thoughts. I'm mostly just looking forward to that psychedelic flashback sequence. We'll see what happens to that. Hopefully this doesn't try to romanticize them. I'm very much worried about that. The flashback sequence doesn't seem to be doing that, but you never know. I'm hoping that this isn't another case of romanticizing the relationship, as it shouldn't be. It is abusive. I really hate the fact that I even have to emphasize this. It is very much abusive. Do not idolize this relationship. Well, that's the trailer for that. So this is what is for anime. I'm very much looking forward to covering that when it comes out. If I remember correctly. Yeah, July. I'm very much looking forward to covering that. I really hope it lives up to expectations, and we'll see how that goes. And that's it for TV news, pretty much. Yeah, as I said, this is not the heaviest week. We are mostly dealing with comics here. Way earlier than I thought we would be. So, quite a few comic books came out this week. And quite a few important ones, by the way. This week features quite a few heavyweight titles. We'll start off with the biggest and most important one, which is easily Nightwing issue 14. Issue 114. I'm lying number there a little bit, my bad. This is, of course, the Eisner Award-winning team of Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo. This run has been going on for a while now. It's been going on since issue 78. I think. And I know it doesn't sound too long, but in these modern comics, that is a run of about 3, almost 4 years or so. That's long. That's really long to work on a book. It helps that Nightwing is one of the more long-standing characters, and he's had a regular going book since 2016 Rebirth starting. But still, do not look down at this achievement. This is pretty major. It doesn't happen as much as you'd think. It really doesn't. And it's good to see Tom Taylor get to work for so long on this one character, especially because he's done really, really well. I've really enjoyed being able to catch up on the series for this week's podcast episode. I've really, really, really enjoyed it. It's rare for me to find a run that I genuinely like pretty much everything about. And I don't think to myself, well, I read that, but I don't remember anything from it. I remember a lot from this. I really enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it's one of the best runs of all time, but I would say it's definitely one of the best runs I've read in a long time. It's a personal favorite for sure. I'm really looking forward to reading it again with my sister when I go over to Denmark in the summer. But enough prattling on. Let's actually talk about what happens in the issue. Well, issue 114 is the first part of the final arc of this run. It's going to happen eventually, and here we are. It's Fallen Grayson, part 1 out of 5. And it mostly focuses on explaining how we got to the beginning of the issue. The beginning of the issue is Nightwing and his dog Haley, Bitewing, on a mountaintop, having to conquer his fear of heights that he's developed recently. And I can't remember exactly why, but I think it's obviously got something to do with Heartless, who's been the main villain of this arc since pretty much the first issue. And the issue is mostly focused on this huge gala event for the Alfred Pennyworth Foundation that Nightwing is hosting. With Batgirl, Batman's there, Damian is there. I can't remember if any other major Robin or Batman member is there, which is a little weird, but those characters are there. And it's mostly Nightwing trying to talk about his foundation, get the next few big steps forward in saving Bloodhaven. He gets asked a few unfair questions about his association with Blockbuster, who was killed quite a while ago by Heartless. It was very much Nightwing's arch nemesis until Heartless came along. We also see Heartless in his real civilian identity. I think his name was Lester, but I'm genuinely blanking on it right now. Hold on. Shelton Lyle. Who's Lester? Shelton Lyle. We get to see Shelton Lyle doing a little bit of in civilian identity, manipulation, and all that. The issue ends on a cliffhanger where the gala event is being attacked by, well, Heartless, basically. And it seems like it's going to go on to the next issue. Next month we'll have to see what else happened and what led to Nightwing having to travel on a mountain of a beard. It's a bit of a slow opening issue, I will admit. It's not the most exciting thing in the world. But honestly, I have so much goodwill for this book that I don't care that it's a bit of a slow start. I would definitely give it... I'll give it a 3 out of 5, because it is, for this book standards, not the best. But it's still a decent starting issue. And I'm at least peaked. My intrigue is still peaked, of course. I want to see how this ends. Fallen Grayson does make it sound like he might die, which I find a little unlikely, because he is leading the Titans right now, and they're basically the replacement Justice League for the foreseeable future. So he's probably not dying. It would be really huge to kill Nightwing, even if only for a little bit. I hope he doesn't die. But Fallen Grayson does imply something, at least in its fear of heights, so we'll see what happens. Hopefully he's fine. But yeah, that's a huge arc that's coming along. You should really keep your attention on it, because it's going to be major for the next 6 months. We'll be covering it quite closely in the next 6 months. This is one of the biggest Bat books. That wasn't the only major Bat book, however, to be releasing an issue, because we also have Catwoman number 65, part of the 30-something issue run by Teeny Howard. It's also been going on for a few years now. And I don't think it's I can't remember if it's the final part of this arc, or if it's almost the final part, but it's part 7 of the 9 Lives arc that's been going on for quite a while now, of course, being 7 parts. Before I explain the 9 Lives arc, I want to give just... hold on, camera's focusing. Before I focus on the 9 Lives arc, I want to give just a quick explanation of the general premise. Let me just fix the camera a little bit. I think that's fine. Well, this Catwoman book, so far, has mostly been about Catwoman's fight with organized crime and trying to protect Alleytown, which is her neighborhood in Gotham, basically. And she's still stealing stuff and everything, but it's mostly focused on Catwoman kind of just tired of how mobs and organized crime have taken over her city and make the unfortunate, and especially unfortunate women, do all kinds of things or get hurt by them and everything. It's an interesting run. I've never read a Catwoman run before, just like I've never read a Nightwing run before. And I will admit, it took me a while to get into it. I think Teeny Howard's writing was a little rough those first issue or two. It's also referencing a lot of stuff that happened in New 52, which I had no clue about. I did not know about Aiko, for example, and her previous romantic relationship with Catwoman, or her affinity for wearing Catwoman's costume as well. But once we got around to one of my new favorite characters, Dario, who is a former monster heir turned cat vigilante sidekick tech guy. He's great, honestly, and he's gay. He's really great. I honestly, if there's one character I recommend checking out from this run, it's Dario. He's such a great addition. I really hope he gets to stay. He reminds me a lot of this guy. I don't know how Harley Quinn's been friends with recently. Her arc by Sweeney Boo Boo, I think. I'm really enjoying him, and I must say, while it took a while, I've really enjoyed the Teeny Howard Catwoman run. It's a lot more complicated than I'm making it sound. There's a whole lot of things going on. There was this one guy whose name eludes me right now, but he was a really great character. I'm a little messy today. It's taking me so long to catch up on all the comics. I just finished the Catwoman run today. Hold on. Let me just mute my Discord. 1 second. Just a second. Okay. Valmont, I think his name was. I'm all over the place. I'm sorry, guys. But Valmont is this character we also see who's really great, and he becomes a pseudo love interest for Catwoman, and he's kind of like a male Catwoman, to be completely honest. There's lots of great stuff with Bruce before the Gotham War tie-ins happened, which it ended better than I thought it would, but I wasn't a big fan of that. What else? Other characters I liked. I liked Aiko, as previously mentioned. I very much like Dario, as previously mentioned. Catwoman is a new pet cat that she constantly has called Duchess, who's really cute. Scandal Savage features quite a bit in the arc. I found her quite interesting. She's Vandal Savage's daughter. There was a really great issue of Harley, which I very much recommend. Was it more than one issue? It may have been 2 issues. Yeah, it's 2 issues. I really heavily recommend that little mini arc. It was really fun. And right now, it's we've had the 9 Lives arc, which has been very interesting, very spiritual, more than I would have expected. Basically, after all the events of Gotham War, Catwoman died, but then suddenly she came back because of some curse thing or god thing or whatever. Something happened with Bastet, the cat goddess, has brought Catwoman back and has given her 9 lives, like a cat. Honestly surprised it took them this long to do something like this. Catwoman decides to spend those lives wisely and to complete a bunch of really impossible jobs that will almost certainly get her killed, so that she can accomplish a certain amount of really important tasks that she's always wanted to accomplish. And the whole arc has been about that, and been about her doing some seriously cool and interesting and important things, but dying pretty much every single time. She's down to her last life. I think Bastet kind of gave her one extra last life out of some kind of sympathy, not really sympathy, but sort of like a respect for her abilities displayed so far. And now Catwoman's got 1 life, and she's got to deal with a bunch of really dangerous enemies. She's got a ton of people going after her. If I remember correctly, she's got Pink Flamingo, who's a cannibal supervillain. There's Rosie the Riveter from the Demolition Crew, which is a fun little goon business of sorts. There's this woman whose name I can't remember right now, but she was involved in Atlantis. Again, guys, I've read so many comic books just to do this episode. Forgive me for not remembering everyone. But there is a character who's an Atlantean of sorts who's up to no good. She's kind of the leader of what's going on right now. There's this other criminal who used to be associated with Belmont, who Catwoman liked before she kind of killed him. It's a whole story. This criminal wants Catwoman dead as well. Basically, a bunch of people want Catwoman dead. And Catwoman's got to stop them so she can accomplish her final missions, right? So she's managed to make peace with Scandal Savage, sort of. And the two are going to team up in the next issue to stop that. That's what happened in this issue. The issue was Catwoman came back from the dead after a space mission gone wrong. She needs to plan ahead for these bad guys that she wants to stop. And she talked to Scandal Savage and teamed up with them. She also, if I remember correctly, talked to Aiko and to Dario and settled a few things with them while they're taking care of Gotham for her. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It wasn't the most eventful issue. It's kind of a transitional issue, moving us on towards the next major part of this arc, which is Catwoman and Aiko taking on Pink Flamingo and that woman criminal's name I can't remember, potentially to get them onto her side. Not sure how that's gonna work, but we'll see. But the book, the issue itself is probably another 3 out of 5 to be honest, even though it's got some really nice art. It's got some really nice art and cool fights with zombies and stuff like that. But it's a 3 out of 5 pretty much, maybe a 4 out of 5. I also just want to say that the book, while it might take a little while to get into, I quite heavily recommend. As long as you ignore the Gotham more times, it's actually a really, really interesting story about Catwoman trying to kind of finally do something with herself and not just go out there and steal things. I think it's great. I think it's worth a check, and I suggest it. Now, what is the next book on the docket? We have yes, Batman Superman World's Finest, number 27, which, if I may add, I actually reviewed for the Superman homepage, which is the site I recommended to you guys last week. I reviewed that episode, that issue, and I've been reviewing that book ever since its inception, since 2022. It's a book I really, really like. I don't need to explain too much. It's pretty much just Batman Superman team-up stories with a little bit of a Silver Age tinge in terms of what can happen, robots and monkeys and imps, as what's going on right now. Basically, any plot's allowed, no matter how silly it is, but it's all executed in a very Justice League Unlimited kind of way, which it feels not necessarily serious, but grounded, if that makes any kind of sense. So sort of, in another context, this might be seen as a bit of a silly adventure, but it is important to the characters, so it becomes important to readers. It's not done in a blase way, it's done in an important way, and it often involves character development. I've really, really quite enjoyed this book. Mark Waid and Dan Moore are doing an amazing job. Mark Waid's writing is great. Dan Moore's art is out of this world. I really, really recommend this book. It's been a blast to read. And this arc especially has been great. This is the Impossible arc. I think it's part 2. It's part 2, yeah. From World's Finest number 27, I want to say. 27, yes. And yeah, it was a great issue. I'm pretty sure I gave it a 5 out of 5, and I think I'll still give it a 5 out of 5. It's just a blast. I don't even need to sum up too much. I'll just tell you what happens. Batman, Superman, and Robin are trapped in the 2-dimensional world thanks to all the imps of the supervillain, specifically the Parasite imp. Batman manages to save them only for him to get trapped, and now Batman, and Superman are in the 2D world, while Robin's back in the 3D world. And they, using detective skills, and Batman is actually really trying to be more serious and more useful, which is really great to see, and Superman's very supportive of it, which is cute. They manage to uncover pretty much what's going on with this big main villain who's from the 6th dimension, which is where all of time is happening all at once. And this big 6th dimension guy just wanted to find who's the greatest hero on Earth and everything, and challenge him for a fight. It's nothing too serious. It's very Dragon Ball, but in a good way. And also, admittedly, it's a danger because all the heroes are getting badly beaten up, and all the imps are getting lots of imps died, which is still a bad thing, right? And what else happened? Oh yeah, and this isn't Batman related, but the rest of the plot is Mr. Mxyzptlk giving Jimmy Olsen all his abilities from all those crazy stories back in the Silver Age, and then the Olsen squad just tears everyone down. It's really, really cool. It's really, really fun. And then just for the cherry on top, the 6th dimension villain guy is like, you know what? Jimmy Olsen is the strongest hero on Earth. I'm going to kill him. He's my challenger. That's just a great cliffhanger. I know this is a Batman podcast, but I gotta praise the Superman part of the story. That's really fun. That's really classic. Yeah, it's just a really fun issue. I don't know how to explain it. I don't really know how to explain it. I just told you everything that happened to it. It's just a blast. If you like, not necessarily silly, but fun stories where there's lots of action, lots of great character dialogue, and just a fun creative premise like, hey, the imps need help because there's this really evil 6th dimension guy who's going to kill everyone, then you probably like this. Not everything's going to be a serious story arc. Sometimes you can just have a fun little adventure, with major stakes. And this is a fun little adventure with major stakes. I quite recommend it to anybody who likes that kind of stuff, and I recommend the whole book in general. It's not only fun adventures, there's been some pretty impactful, interesting stories, especially the Boy Thunder arcs. I really, really recommend it, and I hope you check it out. It's been a blast, and I give this issue a 5 out of 5. Now, the next issue we've got is another major book. There are lots of major books releasing issues this week, like I said. Titans number 11, which is also by Tom Taylor. I've read all those issues. I didn't read the whole Beast World arc, though it sounds quite interesting. To sum up what's going on in the book in general, basically the Titans have moved to Bloodhaven, alongside with Nightwing being the main hero of Bloodhaven, of course, in order to basically become the replacement Justice League for now. The team consists of the classic Titans lineup. You've got Dick Grayson, you've got Beast Boy, you've got Raven, you've got Cyborg, you've got Starfire. There's also Donna Troy Wonder Girl, Wally West Flash, not Kid Flash, he's the current Flash right now. And I think there was another member. I hope I'm not forgetting who it is. Technically, Garth Aqualad is also a member, sort of. On and off, really. Swamp Thing is also an on and off member, but he's only appeared in one issue. But yeah, the Titans are basically currently the replacement Justice League, and they're trying to deal with things about Haven. They've already had to deal with the whole Beast Planet thing. They're having to deal with Amanda Waller. They have to deal with New Brother Blood, and right now they're dealing with something I think is very familiar to mainstream Titans fans. Raven has been turned evil. Not turned evil. It's not like she chose, but her evil side has trapped her good side. Rachel Roth, that is, and now Raven is being turned by Trigon into the, I think it was the Queen of Evil or the Queen of the Demons, or it was some kind of specific name. But basically, evil Raven, the Titans are going to deal with evil Raven, or else they're all doomed. And the world is doomed. It's pretty classic Titan stuff right here. And the arc is in its third part, I believe. Yes, I believe it's in the third part. Raven's already removed all of Beast Boy's guilt from some previous stuff that happened to Beast Planet. So he's kind of out of commission. She's fooled everyone but Nightwing, who apparently now has a Zuran R of his own. Zuran R, for those of you who don't know, is the alternate personality that Bruce Wayne has formed. That's basically all his negative traits. And it turns out that Dick has one as well. It was not referenced or alluded to in the entirety of the Nightwing run or in anything else I've seen, so that's weird and worrying, because the stuff with Zuran R and Bruce was handled okay at first, now it's turned really bad, and basically an excuse to make him act like a jerk. Now they're going to do that to Nightwing as well. I'm not a fan of that. But regardless, Nightwing is suspicious of Raven now. There's not so much going on in this specific issue 11. It's mostly just Nightwing realizing that Raven is being suspicious. And the half of it deals with a whole new character called, I think her name was Verdania, but I just want to make sure I've got that right. Vanadia. Vanadia is an interesting character. I actually find her quite intriguing, even though I've seen the reception to her be quite cold. Not because she's bad necessarily, because people think she's very underdeveloped. But basically, Vanadia is this girl who grew up idolizing the Teen Titans when she was a kid. She trained to be a superhero because she has no powers, and she became a really amazing athlete, but she doesn't have that extra 10%, as you can guess. And then Dr. T.O. Morrow, who, if I remember correctly, is related to a certain robot. Red Tornado. He created Red Tornado. Dr. T.O. Morrow is working for Amanda Waller, who's pretty much the big bad of everything in DC right now. And they made Vanadia into a sort of cyborg robot. It's still her, but I'm not sure if it's a robot body of her consciousness or if it's a cyborg situation. But she's basically Amazo, but opposite to the Teen Titans. Well, the Titans now. And they've tricked her into thinking that the Titans have been replaced by bad people and all that. Now she's trying to kill them to save her heroes. It's pretty tragic. It's a little underdeveloped, I will admit, but I think the premise of the character is quite interesting and has lots of potential, and I really hope we get to see her used more in the future. If it was possible, I would use her. Like, if I ever get a chance to write a comic book for DC, I would be very happy to use her in some capacity. She sounds interesting. So I liked her, and I thought it was an okay issue. This is another 3 out of 5. This is another transition issue where not too much happens until the next big part. Right now, Raven is basically planning to destroy Vanadia so that she can have the Titans as her slaves. So that's happening. Yeah, another decent issue, 3 out of 5. The book itself is quite interesting, and I really like the idea of the Titans being the main heroes of the DC universe right now. So I approve of that, and I'm excited to see what happens next. Lots of transition issues this month, I must admit. Lots of transition issues this week. The next issue is from an interesting miniseries I'm not sure if the last. It's from the DC Black Label, which is the R-rated sort of label of DC. This is where they allow to tell more mature and dark stories. And yeah, this is the final issue. This is the final issue of the Batman First Night, the Batman with a hyphen, by Dan Jurgens. Now, what is that book, in case you haven't heard of it? Well, it's basically a reimagining of the first 5-6 issues of sorts of the original Batman run with Detective Comics. Issues 28 to 34, more or less. Maybe a little bit after it. I can't remember when the Monster Man arc happens. But well, story, not arc. It was in Batman #1, wasn't it? Well, yeah, this basically featured a sum of the first year or so of Batman comics, with a modern writing lens and modern artistic lens, and no killing and no guns this time. But yeah, this is basically a story set in 1939, which details the original first cases of Batman, but with far better writing and art. And yeah, it's interesting. It's quite interesting. Batman wears his original costume, the purple gloves and long ears and everything, which we're seeing a version of in Cape Crusader. So lots of throwbacks to that original era this year. There's lots of staples that people recognize or might not recognize. Gordon is still there after all. It seems like Hugo Strange is the mastermind. I haven't been able to read issue 3. That was one of the 2 issues I couldn't read today, unfortunately. But Hugo Strange's Monster Men basically feature in this, which is interesting. The Monster Men are reborn corpses, which are just attacking criminals and stuff, and innocent people. Julie Madison seems to be Bruce's love interest in this. She was the original Batman love interest, for those who don't know. She features in the very first Clayface story, back when he was a serial killer. And she's an actress again, only this time she's actually got a personality, and feels like there's a real romance there, and she's not just, I don't know, there to be saved, I guess. So that's good. Is there anything else that was interesting or was a reference? Well, there's no Alfred, which is true for those original stories. No Robin, at least for now. Not much of anyone, actually. Pretty much no references to any other villains. It's really just Batman, a bunch of corrupt cops, Gordon, and maybe Hugo Strange and Julie Madison, the Monster Man, of course. I've quite liked the first 2 issues. I wouldn't call it amazing by any means. I don't think I would buy a book of this necessarily, but I really appreciate the throwback feeling and the concept. I think it's a really interesting idea to take those original stories and retell them better, and they've been retold quite better. My favorite part has been this Jewish rabbi character. His name eludes me right now, but this Jewish rabbi who escaped Nazi Germany, and he and Bruce share quite the connection. I don't know if this is because Bruce is Jewish in this, they haven't referenced that yet, but they just share a connection. He's kind of, well, I wouldn't know if he's the Alfred, but he's kind of his mentor, advice giver here? I don't know how to describe it exactly. But these are interesting characters, offer quite the moral standpoint for Bruce. And seeing as this harkens back to Bill Finger and Bob Kane being Jewish, I really quite appreciate that. Yeah, it's been a good book. I haven't been able to read issue 3, unfortunately, but I'm really looking forward to reading it and telling you guys what I think. What's next? After that, we've got... Second? After that, we've got Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong issue 7, which is the final issue of this whole crossover arc. Again, I haven't been able to read that, so I can't give my review on it. But I've read the other 6 issues. To start with the quick story, I think the title pretty much sums it up, but basically, Lex Luthor and Legion of Doom managed to transport Godzilla, King Kong, and a bunch of other kaijus into the DC universe. Superman pretty much, quote-unquote, dies in issue 2, and it's out of action for most of it, so the rest of the Justice League are going to find a way to somehow deal with all these kaijus. We see Green Arrow and Skull Island with Kong. We see Supergirl being the one that Kong kind of falls in love with. Would have thought it would be Wonder Woman, but it's not too surprising. We've seen Godzilla fight Superman and Shazam. We've seen, what else? We've seen Luthor make a Godzilla. He's making his own Mechagodzilla, for those who don't know that. That's Robot Godzilla, basically. Batman's got a mech, which is really, really cool. The Green Lanterns made the mech of their own with the power rings. There's a whole fight going on. They're trying to stop the kaijus from... Well, the kaijus need to do what they do for the balance of the Earth, but they're trying to get rid of all the superheroes and kill everyone. That's not a good thing. So the superheroes are trying to stop the Legion of Doom. from using those kaijus. It's also because quite a few bad characters I want to add first. There is Batman, there's a bunch of Robins, there's Nightwing, there's a funny moment in Red Hood where he acts like a dumbass and gets punched out. Batwoman's in it. Lots of Batman villains in the background with the Legion of Doom. I think you can see Penguin and Scarecrow, for example. I haven't read issue 7, so I can't give a review about it. About the whole overall book, there are things I like. I like the Superman stuff a lot, especially the first 2 issues, and his stuff with Lois. I like that Superman actually tries to understand what Godzilla is doing, or to reason with him a little bit. He doesn't necessarily even want to kill him or destroy him, he just kind of wants to get him back to where he was. And they're apparently about to have a huge major battle on the wall, so that sounds pretty cool. I like that stuff. He was about to propose to Lois as well, by the way, which I really liked. That was really cute. And Lois said yes when he was quote-unquote dead. I like the Green Arrow stuff on Skull Island. I think it could actually make for a really good story in its own. I kind of wish that was the story in general, to be honest. That would be really cool. Comic book idea. There was some nice stuff with Batman being afraid about Superman's death in the previous issues, not in the comic issue. Again, I didn't read it. But if I'm being completely honest, I'm not the biggest Godzilla fan. I do like King Kong, but I haven't seen every movie. I'm not obsessed. I just like King Kong. And I don't know why, but I've never really got into Godzilla. I just don't find him that interesting. It just seems to be the same thing over and over again. Which I know is a major critique of superhero stories, so I'm a little hypocritical here. But that's just what I feel. I like the idea, and I like some stuff on paper, and Lex trying to use kaijus and then make his own Mechagodzilla feels very in character. But I can't say that I'm a big fan of this story. I think it's just okay. King Kong and Godzilla don't even really get to do much. It's mostly a Justice League story that just happens to have kaiju in it. It's okay, I guess. Nothing that crazy personally. Maybe if you like kaiju more than I do, you will actually find it cool, but I'm just lukewarm in the whole thing. But check it out if you feel like it. There is one more new issue that came out this week, and I did get to read that, and it's Batman Justice Buster number 11, which is an ongoing manga that seems to only release once a month. It's a little hard to tell what's going on with it. But basically, to try to explain this premise really quickly, the idea here is Batman uses all kinds of, well, not necessarily mech technology, but more AI technology. He's got an AI called Robin, of course, and he's very cynical and jaded here. This is his story here in, he doesn't feel like he's doing anything. And he doesn't trust Superman or the Justice League at all. He doesn't even want to be with them. He doesn't have any partners at all. He's got this guy called Joker, who is not Joker though. He's his private detective, working with him, who doesn't understand why he has no kill rule. At first it wasn't obvious, but it turns out that there's this whole Dick Grayson stuff going on in the background of Dick trying to become a detective and figure out who killed his parents and all that. And it's obviously building up towards him becoming Robin at one point, but he hasn't met Bruce yet. The big twist to the story, I guess, besides the fact that Batman is, I guess, using more advanced technology, and he's got a Joker of sorts working with him, is that this is a huge twist, so spoilers for those of you who haven't read the whole series. Dick is being taken care of by this uncle of his, who used to be a clown in the circus, who worked with his parents and all that, and it turns out that uncle has also been killed. That uncle has also been killed, seemingly by I can't remember if there's hinting that Joe Chill and Joker are the same person here. I'm not 100% sure. But basically, that uncle was killed and has been replaced by someone pretending to be the uncle, and that's the Joker. The Joker is out there. He's potentially killed Batman's parents, like he did in 1989 movie, and he's right now the legal guardian to Dick Grayson, having killed his parents as well. So that's an interesting twist. Not one I'm necessarily into. I've never been a big fan of knowing everything about who killed Batman's parents, and if it has to be, I'd rather it's Joe Chill, and not Joker being Joe Chill. But it's an interesting manga, and I've kind of liked it. I like the Detective Joker character guy who's working with Batman. I like some of the ideas about Batman having to maybe move away from his older personality. I thought that the Robin AI helper personality was kind of a nice idea, and I obviously always like seeing Dick Grayson become Robin, so that should be a fun story. Something that amazing. And issue 11 was mostly about those little reveals and discovering that the Joker guy is a detective, a private detective that's helping Dick Grayson uncover the mystery. But okay issue. 3 out of 5 again, I guess. And it's an interesting series. If you like Like if you're of a Batman manga, I guess check it out. That's it for new comic books this week. That took a lot longer than I thought it would. We talked about those forever. I've still got a few more things to talk about, so let's do those quickly because there isn't too much to say. A facsimile edition of Crisis on Infinite Earths 2 came out. What is a facsimile edition? For those of you who don't know, a facsimile edition is basically when you it's not exactly a copy. It's sort of like a re-release with some improved art and graphics and stuff to make it look a little better. A sort of restoration, if you will. So there's a restoration of Crisis on Infinite Earths issue 2. I'm pretty sure that Batman's in that story. I hope he is, otherwise this has been a pretty pointless news item to tell you, but that's something to potentially check out. It is the biggest epic in the history of the DC universe, and Batman is in it, of course, so, you know. A writer and artist named Jacob Edgar, who has already written for DC before. Let's see what he's written exactly. 1 second. Let me just quickly do my research. What is he written for DC? Let's see now. I've got his profile on DC.com. Yeah, he's worked on Batman The Adventures Continues, that series that was the animated series continued in comics form. I know that, I like that. He worked in season 3, I think. And right now he's working on seemingly on his own Justice League art, which of course features Batman. He's working on his own Justice League book. It's a secret project he's been teasing for quite a while. I'm intrigued, because I like his art style, and I'm curious to see what he does with this. Batman's in it, of course, so I need to talk about it and review it, so hopefully it's good. It's quite nice art, as you can see. Vixen's in it as well, that's interesting. So we'll see how that goes. In bigger news, the Eisner Award nominations are out. For those of you who don't know, the Eisner Awards are the comic book awards. They're basically the comic book Oscars. And DC, of course, has got nominations. I will only be mentioning, of course, the Batman ones. Let's see now what there is with this. What Batman story has been nominated. Well, for Best Single Issue One Shot, there is Nightwing 105 by Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo. That was this amazing issue where it's basically POV and it's like you are Nightwing and it shows the whole story from the perspective of Nightwing. I really, really like that. That's a really good one. One of the best of the run, so I'm happy to see that nominated. In the Best Continuing Series, there's Birds of Prey by Kelly Thompson, which features Stephanie Brown. I'm pretty sure it features Barbara Gordon, Cassandra Cain, Harley Quinn, lots of Batman characters. So that's nice to see. Nominated Nightwing, of course, is nominated, which is great. Those are the two Batman series that are on the docket there. Let's see what else. Just 1 second. Trying to see what else there is that was nominated. Not seeing anything else so far. I'm sure there will be something eventually. On. This is taking a while. I'm just going for it very quickly. Lots of Wonder Woman nominations this year. That's good to see. I'm not seeing too many DC nominations here. It's possible there isn't any more, but I don't want to make a mistake here. After last week, I made a mistake or two. I forgot about the summaries for some of the stuff that's been coming out. With some of the Elseworld stories, there were summaries. I totally forgot to tell them. So I'm trying to cut out the mistakes this week. Best writer Tom Taylor for Nightwing and for Titans. So that's another nomination for Nightwing. It's getting a lot. Kelly Thompson's nominated for Birds of Prey, Harley Quinn, Black, White, and Redder, and also for a bunch of other stuff. She's nominated for a lot of stuff, actually. Julia Wilson, nominated for Poison Ivy. Mark Waid for Batman, Superman, World's Finest, and for World's Finest Teen Titans. Lots of these DC nominations. Best Penciler Inc. or Penciler Inker team. There's Jason Shaw Alexander for Detective Comics, which has looked amazing recently, so that's a very much a worthy nomination. Dan Moore, of course, nominated for Batman, Superman, World's Finest. What else? Best cover artist Jen Bartels for DC Pride 2023, which I'm pretty sure had Harley and Ivy. And she's also nominated, I think Jen Bartels woman. She's also nominated for, well, nothing else about Batman, but Evan Cagle for Detective Comics, like I said, looking amazing recently. Jenny Friesen is nominated for Night Terrors Harley Quinn 1 and 2, and Poison Ivy 8 and 12. Dan Mora is nominated for Batman Superman World's Finest, and Outside is number 1, and Poison Ivy number 9, and Titans number 1. For Best Coloring, there's Jordi Bellier for Batman and Birds of Prey. Else, Hassan Othmane El-Hau is being nominated for the Best Lettering in Batman City of Madness, Poison Ivy, and potentially more. It only says on others here, so I'm not sure if there's any other bad books. Second. No, that's it for the nominations. Yeah, lots of nominations for Batman Comics. I hope that they get at least one award, at least the Nightwing win something. And I'd love to see that more win as well, because he's been amazing recently. So yeah, that's cool. Good luck to all those guys and girls. Now for the news of the week. Finally, it only took us about 47 minutes. Finally, time for news of the week. The Multiversus launch trailer is out, alongside a bunch of other trailers. There's a PvE Rifts mode overview, and a Banana Guard Welcome to the Bunch gameplay trailer. So I'll be playing, well, I won't be playing all of these, but I will be playing the Batman-related parts. I will play the 40 seconds in which the Joker features, basically, for the official launch trailer, right about now.
Wanna see a magic trick?
Oh no, an evil clown. Never seen one of those before.
Mathematical! You realize, of course, this means war! How's that for a finisher?
So yeah, Joker just got his ass kicked by Velma. Love to see that. I'm a big Scooby-Doo fan, I'm a big Velma fan, so that's cool. But yeah, the trailer features Joker. At one point, Rick from Rick and Morty runs past the Batcave and says, "Sorry, Bruce," we get a Batcave look. There are teasers for Raven and Titan's Tower, which also hopefully means Dick Grayson. Joker at one point summons Jason Voorhees and Agent Smith, so I guess that's cool. And he sits on the Iron Throne from Game of Thrones, so that's pretty neat as well. Not sure there are really any other Batman references, but those are pretty cool ones, yeah. Multiversus launches in, I believe, May 28th. I'm really excited to play it. I've been practicing as Batman, of course. And yeah, the launcher looks really fun, and I'm really excited to see how this game goes and what other Batman characters will join in. Surely Dick Grayson's not far away. Besides that, there was also a PvE Rifts mode overview. It was narrated by Velma. Batman features once or twice, so I will play arguably the funniest part where he features. Right about now. Wait, no. Right about now.
Jake, really? We know you've met Batman. We've all met Batman. He's right there.
Hello.
Give me the remote. Each node brings unique mutators for endless combat scenarios. Some are skill-driven, making the match more challenging. Some are more story-driven. And some are more eccentric.
You taste good with ketchup.
Next slide, leaders and buddies. Okay, wait, who has the slide? Oh no.
So yeah, I don't really get any of those fighter game terms, to be completely honest, but for those of you who do, it seems like it's good news. And there's a few appearances of Batman around there where it's just kind of silly. It's good to see some Kevin Conroy Batman in any capacity. Besides that, there is one more Multiversus release. the official Banana Guard trailer. Banana Guards are from Adventure Time, and Batman does actually feature the beginning of the trailer, so I might as well play it. Now.
Make no mistake, justice doesn't sleep.
Banana Guard, reporting for duty. I am feeling so pumped up right now. Banana Guards, assemble! Hello. Time for rock!
So yeah, Harley, Batman, and I think Joker featured in the trailer for a second. Batman welcoming the Banana Guards into the game. If you like Adventure Time and you like Banana Guards, I guess this is pretty good news for you. And yeah, lots of Multiversus news this week. This was the major news. We got a launch trailer. We got a big look at Joker. The game comes out in 6 days, so we'll be probably covering it for next week's episode as well. I'm really excited to see how it goes and what happens. And I'm excited to play it. Hopefully, who knows, maybe at one point I'll play against one of you guys. So yeah, Multiversus is coming out. Big exciting news on that front. What is next? We are almost finished. We only have 3 more small pieces of news, which really shouldn't take too long. We've got 2 more announcements from McFarlane Toys. Well, one announcement from McFarlane Toys and one from Revolt Tech. I'll start with the McFarlane Toys one. They've announced a DC Direct Dark Knight statue based from The Dark Knight from the 2008 movie by Christopher Nolan. It's up for pre-order now. The description is arguably the greatest superhero film of all time, comes to life in epic 3D form. Don't miss the opportunity to capture Batman from 2008's Dark Knight. The 1:6 scale statue features Batman in a striking pose, standing atop a movie logo-inspired base. That's cool. The statue is essential to any Batman collector. I would say this is a pretty cool one, yeah? Looks a lot like Christian Bale. The features are highly detailed statue stands, approximately 9.4 inches tall, I think, including the base. That's huge. Made of, I think it's huge. Made of polyresin, limited edition. Yeah, no, this is a really cool statue. I like it. It looks a lot like Christian Bale. I would get this if I could, but these things are really expensive. It's available for pre-order from Amazon and Entertainment Earth. We also have Revolt Tech showing off a Joker figure, which looks really cool to be honest, very stylized. It's a second version of its Revolt Tech Joker, apparently, by Kyodo. It's a 6-inch Joker, will come with 2 portraits, multiple sets of hands, a machine gun, a cane, bullet effects, haha effects, and more. This sounds really cool. The pre-order will open today in Japan and sell for 9,900 yen, which is approximately $63 US. So that's kind of hefty. And this apparently is a counterpart to all those versions of Friday released. I've got some images here, and this looks really cool. There's a lot of stuff here. To be fair, the price is a little justified by how much there is here and the posability. There's some amazing posability here in faces. This is really good. I would definitely buy this if I could. This is one heck of a toy. I really recommend this one. So yeah, this is available for pre-order now. Looks amazing. And for our final piece of news of the day, amazingly this episode managed to run as long, even with less news. Crazy. There was a lot to talk about the comics. There is a Heroes and Villains Batman merch collection of streetwear and accessories that has come out by Heroes and Villains. That's the manufacturer mistake. It's a bit of a Batman merch collection. I don't think it's anything that crazy, but there's a bunch of Batman shirts here that I will flash over on the screen while I talk. Some hats and bags and stuff. It's Gotham City Guardian, the main slogan around it. It's nice, I guess. Not sure I'd get any of those necessarily, but it's always cool to see more merch for the collector. So if any of you guys want to get some cool Batman shirts and bags and hats and stuff, those are available right now. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, a less eventful episode this week, even if admittedly it's still pretty long. I hope you enjoyed this. I think it was a bit less awkward this time around, so that's good. We're trying to improve the series as much as we can. We is a royal we, it's just me here. But I'm trying to improve the series as much as I can every single week. So if there's any notes you have, any critiques, anything you want to see that could be improved, or other things you want to see added, you can always add other features besides news. I'll be very happy to add those to the podcast and the weekly show to make it as entertaining as possible for all of you listeners. Anybody who listened in and watched, I really, really appreciate it. We had 11 viewers for the first episode, which isn't a huge number, but I'm not expecting huge numbers at all. I'm grateful to everybody who took their time to listen. And I hope you'll enjoy this episode, and I will see you next week for hopefully, who knows what's going to happen. Crazy things happen every week in the world of Batman. So many big things are coming towards us soon. We're going to have to be covering so much across the summer. Like, for example, the Suicide Squad, like Crisis Part 3. I'm really looking forward to all that stuff. Cape Crusader, of course. I'm really looking forward to all that stuff. I'm really looking forward to keep doing this. I want to stay consistent with this and keep at it and turn this into a huge Batman fan podcast. It can be enjoyed by everyone, and we can all just share our love for this character, this universe. Just have a nice little time, pretty much an hour a week, talking about Batman. So I'll see you next week for this will be posted on Thursday, and I will see you next week for the 22nd to 29th of May episode. Goodbye.